Okay, for this one, I'm going to actually just do it along with the key and emphasize that this one is a little difficult. And what I mean by that, the derivatives are difficult. So the first thing to do is, you write the function down. What's the function? F of x equals tan x. Relatively simple, all right? First derivative, secant squared, relatively simple. And again, this is all written down. That should be the obvious part at this point, that's what f of x is. And why is that? They told me that's what f of x is. And the first derivative, fairly simple, all right? Let's go for the second derivative. And to do that, I'm going to write f prime. Whoops. I'll write f prime down as secant squared x. I'm actually going to write that a little differently. I'm going to write that, I'll keep it that way. Actually, I'm going to write differently. It's going to be secant x to the second power. What's f double prime? Well, the 2 comes down. You get secant x to the first power. And the derivative of secant is secant squared. I'm sorry, is secant x tan x. Simplify a little bit. 2 secant squared x tan x. All right, let me show you that's written. Right over here. So the second derivative, 2 secant squared tangent. All right, I'm going to start to erase some of the work now. We're just looking over the key at this point. So all we're doing. I want to get the third derivative. Now, so why are you going to the third derivative? I need the third derivative. I certainly could write T2 down now, but I want to get the third derivative. And certainly it's going to be more complicated. So what do you get over here? Let's write this over here. F double prime is 2. I'm going to write it as what I have over here. Tangent x, put a little dot there because I use a product rule, secant squared. F triple prime, I'm using a product rule. Now let's start at the beginning. I'll differentiate 2 tangent x. That's going to be 2 secant squared. And again, we'll simplify this later. Times the second function. Then what do? It's the first function times the derivative of secant squared. Well, we just took the derivative of secant squared. What's it going to be? 2 tan x secant squared. I want to clean it up a little bit. You get 2 secant to the fourth power. Then you can get 4. And then take a tangent squared. And then you get secant squared. Do I see that? I do. It's right over here. Whoops. 2 secant to the fourth power plus 4 tangent squared, secant squared. All right, so at this point you might say, I don't even remember why I did this. You're doing this to write Taylor polynomials down. So what I'm going to do now is evaluate these guys at the value 5 pi over 4. And before I do that, I realize it really does involve knowing the tangent of that and the secant of that. So let's write that down. So 5 pi over 4. Now, depending on how you want to do this, you can convert to degrees if you like. I'm going to look at, sort of like the wheels on the bus go round and around, and it's 5 pi over 4. So it's over here. And again, what am I doing? It's 45 degrees. All right, what's the reference angle? The reference, I'm just going to write that in degree measure, 45 degrees. So let me put my little triangle down. This is the reference, and it's going to be, this is 45 degrees, 1 root 2. So the tangent of 5 pi over 4, I need that. What's that going to be? Well, it's in third quadrant, and you're going to negative over negative, which is positive. So that's just going to be 1. Relatively simple. The secant of 5 pi over 4. Well, let's be careful. The cosine would be 1 over root 2. I'm sorry, minus 1 over root 2. So it's going to be minus root 2. All right? So I need those two. I got them. Now what are we going to do? Evaluate. So, f of x, I got that. That's just 1. I'm sorry, f of 5 power 4, we already did that. That one's easy. We just did it. Secant squared, that's going to be, the 5 power 4, it's just going to be 2. Relatively simple. All right, now let's do the f double prime. A little more complicated. And what's it going to be? It's going to be 2 times the tangent, which is 1, times the secant squared, which is going to be 2. That's going to give me 4. That's written right over here. Let's do f triple prime. Well, it's going to be twice secant to the 4th power, so that's going to be 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 4 times tangent squared, so that's 4 times 1, and secant squared is 2. So what do you get there? Let's see, 4 times 1 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. I got that written right over here. Right, what's the next thing to do? Write the Taylor polynomial down. It should be quite easy to do. And the reason for that, we know all the information that we need to know on the problem. We can start to erase things over here. We will check it with the key, and that's what we're doing over here. So let's do T2. Well, it's going to be fairly simple. What do? It's going to be f evaluated 5 power 4. We just did that 1. Then it's going to be plus f prime at that number, which is 2. Whoops, that's a mistake right there. Let me erase that. Which is 2. And then it's going to be x minus 5 pi over 4 to the 1st power. Let's see, we got one more to go. Plus, it's going to be, let's say we just did the 1, we did the 2, now we're on to the 4. So it's going to be 4. Now 4 over 2 factorial, 2 factorial is 2, and 4 divided by 2 is just 2. Whoops. Squared, that's T2. Just look at the key for a moment, and I want to make sure you understand that this stuff is written down for a reason. We want you to look at it. Was it 1 plus 2 times the quantity, x minus 5 power 4, plus 2 times the quantity, x minus 5 power 4 to the 2nd power. All right, let's put down T3. And T3 is certainly going to involve T2, which is 1 plus 2. I'm not going to do that again, I just did it. And then you can get plus 16. I'll write this on the side, by the way. And it's going to be 16 over 3 factorial. All right, 3 factorial is just the number 6. It's 3 times 2 times 1. I'm going to reduce that to 8/3. And then x minus 5 pi over 4 cubed. Again, my recommendation, look at the answer key. Make sure you're staring at that. Again, what are you looking at? This is still T2. You're adding this term on. And we did that. It's 8/3 times the quantity, x minus 5 power 4 cubed. We're good to go to the next question. Thank you.